Subsistence purchase orders in Fiscal. This video will cover what we know so far about making a subsistence purchase order in Fiscal as of mid-March 2019. This is an updated version of this topic, and if information changes, this video may be removed or updated again. Before watching this video, please watch the Making a Basic Purchase Order video so this one makes sense. You might also want to check out the videos about coding since I won't talk about some aspects of coding here. So you need to buy subsistence. The best practice for using Fiscal, no matter what you're buying, is to make your purchase order, get it approved, and dispatch the purchase order before you make the purchase. You conclude your purchase later with the reconciliation process after US Bank loads your CalCard statement data into Fiscal. Your reconciliation is then approved, much the same way your purchase order was approved, and then DAO and SCO in Sacramento take care of paying the bank. Subsistence, however, is a more complicated type of purchase. To make a purchase order, you are supposed to know what items you're buying and how much they'll cost in advance. Not even a single person living alone in an apartment knows how much the supermarket is charging for every single item they're going to buy this week before they get to the store. So how does a fire station that has a variety of crew and staff create a purchase order for subsistence that is completely and accurately itemized before their purchase? You don't, not for subsistence. The rules have been relaxed to accommodate this challenging purchase type. For subsistence, you may make your purchase first. Then as soon as you return to the station, scan your receipts and make the purchase order the same day. This is different from what my previous video conveyed, that you have to estimate your purchase before you buy. This is no longer required. However, you still must make the purchase order with categories of different types of food. At the time of this video, reporting a single line of subsistence is not allowed. You don't need to itemize every item. But first, what are these categories? At the time of making this video, the most recent direction I have received is that you do not itemize every single item, but different types of food must be broken into separate line items by their UNSPSC category codes. I've taken a look at what these categories are and had hoped that they might match up with what you see broken out on a Safeway receipt. But here is what we get. These are the categories you must break your food purchase into on your purchase order. You might find this list a little disappointing. Particularly depressing are the 5 different categories for different ways fruit can be sold, and 4 different ones for vegetables, making eating healthy even more difficult than it used to be. However, I have had word that if you wish, you can combine all the vegetables you bought into the most suitable of the 4 vegetable categories overall, and likewise for fruit, instead of splitting fruit and vegetables 4 or 5 different ways. This is the highest level of food categories in the UNSPSC codes to my knowledge. Below these are only more specific options, which you can use instead if you want, but you are free to go as high as these categories. When you get your receipt, you will have to subtotal each type, unless you can arrange your purchase on the conveyor belt by category and ask the store to subtotal each one for you as you check out. I don't expect that anyone wants to do this, but this is the most recent direction I have received, and so I am passing it on. Because the different lines would all still use the same account code for non-taxable food, you wouldn't have to split code your purchase, unless you're charging to different PCAs. But it appears at this time that categorical itemization is required. So go make your purchase. Then come back to your station and scan your receipts right away, just in case something happens and they get lost. You should keep your originals if you can, just in case there's ever a problem you have to go back, look at them. Then subtotal your food items by category and write down the exact amounts for each. For example, you might end up with a list something like this. These will be the line items you enter into Fiscal. You should also get your coding ready. If it's all going against 02090 and you're at CZU, you'll use coding like this. For now, I'm just going to use this one line. You can start a new blank purchase order if you want, but it's probably easier to copy a currently existing purchase order. I've created a basic Safeway purchase order, 604841, which you are welcome to copy, and there is a video showing you how. But please do not change the original purchase order. It is only for copying. If the original purchase order gets messed up because someone goes in, changes things, and saves it, I'll make a new one, probably, or you can make your own. However, in this video, I'll walk you through one from scratch. You've seen some of this in the creating a basic purchase order video, which is more detailed than this video. This video is just for subsistence, and I'll go a bit quicker through the parts that are not specific to subsistence and be more detailed on the parts that are about subsistence. So let's get started. You'll go to Add Update POs, as you ordinarily would. Add a new value tab, don't touch these, and click Add. You'll begin filling out the top section of your purchase order. If you were going to copy that Safeway purchase order number that I mentioned is for copying, use the Copy From drop-down and go to Purchase Order, but that's not what I'm doing here. You'll need to enter your supplier ID. Safeway is 5039772. You can just fill that in. I think I put 6 zeros. There you go. And Fiscal will fill in the rest of it for you. Acquisition type will be non-IT goods. Acquisition method, most likely fair and reasonable. DGS billing code you'll need to put in. If you're at CZU, it's 013117. Might as well memorize that. You'll use it every time you make a purchase order. PO reference field is optional. CZU at this time has no directions what to put there. Other units might have some direction. Header details. You'll need to change the billing address to the headquarters of your unit. CZU's ends in 162. Don't touch anything else. Click OK. The PO defaults box. This is an important box. Here is where I'll enter my one line of coding. Make sure you select Override, or this box does you no good. Category you can leave blank because you'll be putting in separate ones for each line. You'll need to change your ship to whatever station the food is going to. I find this easiest if you change description to contains. Put in CZU, click look up, and you'll get all of CZU's locations. I'll just say this is going to Big Creek. Now for your line of coding, go to the speed charts. Click the magnifying glass. Look up 02090 18. That's the line of coding I want. Fiscal year 18, PCA 02090. There it is. Click on it. Fiscal fills in most of the data for you. You'll always have to fill in a count. For subsistence, it's always the same. 5390250. Click in Alt Account. Fiscal will fill it in for you. Scroll all the way over. Reporting structure is the new term for the index for your unit. For CZU, 35401701. Click OK. Fiscal will always ask you, you changed the ship to, it's not going to Sacramento headquarters anymore. That's right, that's what I want. I click OK. As usual, you need to add your comments and attachments. You probably won't have any attachments for a subsistence purchase, but you'll put your justification in here. In this case, it's subsistence for a 24-hour fire station, Big Creek. Make sure you check approval justification. You'll need a second page for your general provisions verbiage. Click Use Standard Comments. Put STW in that box. Click the magnifying glass. And clicking Non-IT Goods, NIT, should give you the general provisions. There it is. Just double check that it gave you the right thing. And click OK. Fiscal thinks and it pops it in for you. Click Show It Receipt and Show It Voucher. Click OK. If you're buying with a Cal card, which you probably are, you'll use Procurement Card. Click that link from the drop-down, pick your card. It will show the cards belonging to the buyer. In this case, I left myself as the buyer, and if you're making your own purchase order, it will default to you. Click OK. Fiscal thinks, pops the data into the top, click OK again. Car reportable, always say yes. It asks you a question, tell it no. Now you're down to the line section. I will ultimately need 8 lines for my 8 different categories of food. When I'm ready, I'll use this plus button to get more lines, but first, fill out one line completely. Once you've done that, you can click Save, because right now this purchase order is not saved. If you get a call, step away from the computer, come back half an hour, 2 hours later, however long it is, Fiscal will have auto-closed, logged you out, and you have lost all of your work so far. But once you have one line item here, you can click Save, and then that much at least is saved in Fiscal. So my first line item for this example I'm doing was meat and poultry products for $123.45. So that is what I enter here in my first line. I've entered my description. You can skip item. It's only for PIA items. Purchase order quantity is 1. UOM is unit of measurement. Use LO for a lot. Category comes from this list here. It's 5011 and 40 for meat and poultry. And then the price, in my case, my made-up price of $123.45. You'll need to go into the schedule icon, this kind of reddish square. Go into this vaguely acorn-shaped item to look at the tax. Fiscal wants to tax you on everything, but there is no tax on food, so switch to item as exempt. If Fiscal is stubborn about accepting this, click Calculate SUT and even refresh. And then click OK, and tax should have been removed from your item. Here in the Distributions and Chart Field section, the coding that I put in the PO defaults box has already been entered for me. I shouldn't have to touch anything. I can take a look just to make sure it's okay. And everything looks good. And I click OK. Now I can return to the main page. And now I can save this purchase order. And then this much of my work, at least, will get saved in case I get called away. When you click Save, your purchase order ID here at the top left will change to a number. You should write that down, save it, just in case something does happen and you come back to Fiscal half an hour later and Fiscal is closed. You can use this purchase order ID to go back, search for this purchase order, and keep working on it. I will need to add additional lines for all 8 of my categorical line items. Clicking this plus, Fiscal will ask you how many more you want. You can click 7 if you want to give you all 8 that you need for this example purchase. But if those lines aren't filled out, you cannot save. So I recommend going just one line at a time and saving after each line or after each 2 lines until you've done however many you have, in my example, 8. Once I've done them all, I'll click Save one final time, and then here at the top, this green checkbox, I click that to send my purchase order for approval. Once it's approved, you'll dispatch it like any other purchase order and save the PDF for when you reconcile your CalCard statement. Both reconciliation and dispatching are covered in separate videos. But I mentioned split coding. What do you do when you're charging this not just to 02090, but also to 0900 incidents or 0908 or 0907? Let me show you a little more about that. Split coding is not the easiest thing in Fiscal. I'll show you a couple ways that you can try to do it, and you can pick which one you like. Each has its pluses and minuses. One is using the PO defaults box to try to get the coding in for the entire purchase all at once, or you can do it line by line. And each has its pluses and minuses. The first option is split coding using just the PO defaults box. Currently, the PO defaults box does not have the option of using multi-speed charts, which is a tool that fills in most of your coding for you when you're in the lines section. That means you'll have to write down or look up some codes. I also can't seem to get the PO defaults box to allow me to separate my coding by dollar amounts, only by percentages of the total purchase, which will mean some math that you have to do first. The benefit to the PO defaults box is that you do it once and it's done for the whole purchase. It's just tricky to get it to work for you. So here's an example. Say I made this purchase $1,234.56. That's the total amount of my purchase, but I need to split code it. $300 of it is going to 02090, but this $934.56 is going to this made-up incident number 0900. The first thing I need to do is to convert these dollars to percentages, because the PO defaults box at this time does not allow you to split a transaction by dollar amounts, only by percentages. If you don't know how to do that, you take the little number, for example, the $300, and divide it by the big number, which is the total purchase. That gives you this decimal number. Move the decimal point 2 spots to the right. 0.243 becomes 24.3. Do that for your second amount as well. If you have additional amounts, keep doing that until you get all your percentages instead of dollar amounts for how you want to split the purchase. Make sure that all of your percentages add up to 100. Then we're ready to go to Fiscal. I've started a new Safeway purchase order because sometimes Fiscal is a little difficult to work with when you try to go back into a PO defaults box and start changing things. So here we go. Purchase order defaults box, make sure you click override or none of this does any good. Again, you can change the ship to your location. I'll just say it's CZU headquarters for now. Then you get down into the coding section. Here's where it gets a little tricky. You're going to need 2 lines. You won't get this plus unless you click override. But filling in the lines of coding can be a challenge. So for example, let's see how this works. I push plus because I need 2 lines. I'm split coding it 2 different ways. Now I can go to the speed charts thing here and try to pick my coding. Let's say I'll start with 02090. For fiscal year 18, there it is. I click on it. Oh, Fiscal took away my second line. Thank you, Fiscal. So I click on the plus again, get my second line, and Fiscal thinks I want both lines coded to 02090, which is, of course, not accurate. But if I try to change my coding for the second line, see it's gray, I clicked on it, to 0900, which does not have a fiscal year associated with it, at this time anyway, it takes away my second line and gives me 1 line coding to 0900. So here's the challenge. Trying to get both lines and getting the right codes. So while I have 0900 in here, I'm going to jot down this program code because otherwise it'll be a much harder process for me to go look it up. I also need this approp ref and fun code. You might just want to have these written down for the future. They'll be important codes to use when we get to doing incident charging. So I'm going to keep those codes written down. I'm going to switch back to 02090 once Fiscal thinks about it. Just kidding, Fiscal. I really meant 02090, not 0900. All right, it switched it back for me. It's 02090 again. Now I'll add my second line and enter my coding myself. Those numbers I just wrote down for 0900. I got to change that to 006. Still thinks it's fiscal year 18. Okay, sure, fine. Program code is different. 2465046. And service location is different. 0900. Alrighty, I still have to put in the account code for both of these lines. It's going to be the same. Subsistence is always the same. 5390250. I can cut and paste that down onto the second line here. Fiscal will fill in the alt account for me. Thank you, Fiscal. Over here, reporting structure. The 02090 is going to be your unit. CZU 3540 1701. This other reporting structure, however, will go with whatever incident it is. So if it's an LNU incident, it will be the reporting structure for LNU. If it's MMU, it will be for MMU. Don't put your own unit's reporting structure here if it's not your own unit's incident. I'll pretend this time it is. Say it's CZU's incident. That's fine. But now this line, PC business unit, project, and activity, must be filled in. You can look up the project. Okay, maybe not. Not yet. I forgot something. First, put in PC business unit 3540, CAL FIRE's number. Now, let's see if I can look up the project. The project is the new term for the incident number. And Fiscal is thinking. Fiscal took a while to think, so I paused it while it was thinking. So here it will give you a list of incidents. I previously did a search and actually didn't find any CZU incidents that seemed to work. But there's a whole bunch of other ones for other units. Pick the one that you need for your incident, whatever it is you're coding this off to. Oh wait, there's a CZU one. It's for last year, but I'll click on it anyway. An activity should be 01. Now this one is for fiscal year 17. So of course I would change the fiscal year here to 2017. Keep in mind that incidents are given a year based on their calendar year, and the fiscal budget goes from July 1st to June 30th. So you have to make sure that you're matching these up correctly. In this case, this was actually the bear fire, which did happen in fiscal year 18. So I actually could leave this as 18, even though the incident has a 17 in it. Activity is always 01. Then you have to go all the way back to the front and change your percentages to match what you calculated. In my case, I calculated this 02090 is going to have 24.3% of the charge. And the 0900 is going to have $934.56, which is 75.7%. Once you've put your percentages in and you've got all your coding done, including these extra 3 codes for your 0900 charge, you should be able to click OK and carry on. One other important thing to mention is that the top line of your coding is where your PO will be sent for approval. So you probably want to make the first line 02090, so it goes to your own unit. I'm not sure when I click OK, if Fiscal is going to accept this or not, because this incident happened before we were using Fiscal, but let's just see what happens. Yep, it's telling me I changed the ship to field. Yes, I did. I had it shipped to CZU headquarters, not Sacramento headquarters. That's okay. Click OK. Hey, it took it. Joy. Now I'll begin entering my items. So just as before, I put in the first one. I put in the purchase order quantity 1, unit measurement LO for lot. Category code is that 50, I think it's 111234 zeros. I'll just go back and take a check. Yes, that's right. Meat and poultry, 50110 zeros. I'll add my invented price and then click on the chart fields icon. And if I go in here, I'll have to change this still to item is exempt because Fiscal wants to charge me sales tax. Click SUT and refresh until it complies. Then, looking at my chart fields, there's my 2 lines. It's already split it for me into these 2 different percentages. I don't have to add any coding here. I don't have to change any coding. It's all been done for me. Click OK. Fiscal thinks. I return to main page. Now I can click save because I don't want to lose this work. And then after that, I'll keep clicking the plus button until I have done all the lines I need to, saving as often as I feel like I want to save. And every line will have the split coding done for it. You don't have to touch it in the line. You wrestled with the PO defaults box. You've done your work. So that's method 1 of split coding a subsistence purchase. You've got to calculate percentages because you can't use dollar amounts. And then you have to wrestle with the PO defaults box, trying to get all your lines of coding in there because multi-speed charts don't work. So there's some benefits and some less than benefits, but that's one way. There's another way. Method 2 is putting in the coding line by line for part of your purchase and another part using the PO defaults box. You'll also have to do some subtraction with your dollar amounts, but there's no need to worry about wondering what the other codes are because you can use multi-speed charts when needed in the line section, and you don't have to figure out percentages. I'll show you the second method, and you can decide which you like better. So you don't have to do percentages, but you will have to subtract. For my example, I had these line items. They totaled $687.36. $200 of it I'll code to 0900 and the rest to 02090. Rather than splitting the entire purchase by percents, I'll code a few lines to 0900 and the rest to 02090. The first 2 I'll code to 0900 because combined they are less than $200. The last 7 I'll code to 02090. Only this third item will actually need split coding. I take 200, subtract the first 2 numbers, and get the remainder that I'll need to charge to 0900 from the $84.57 amount. The rest of that $84.57 goes to 02090. So that third line item, the one for dairy products and eggs, will be split between the 2 PCAs in these 2 amounts. The rest of my line items will be charged only to one or the other of the PCAs. So I'm going to start another brand new one because Fiscal doesn't like it when I go back and try to change things in the PO defaults box. Okay, so I've started a whole brand new one. I'm ready to go to the PO defaults box. Once again, I click override. None of this works if you don't click override. I'll change the ship to, I'll just say it's CZU headquarters. Now I'll enter the most common coding that I'm going to have. In this case, it's for my 7 line items that will be charged to 02090, these ones. in blue. So I can go to speed charts and pick up 02090. There it is. And I still have to enter the account code again. Click on the alt account box, Fiscal will fill it in for me, and go over here and enter my reporting structure for my unit. I can leave it at 100% because in the line section, I'll change any that need to be different. I click OK. Again, it's going to tell me, hey, you changed the ship to field. Yeah, I know, Fiscal. And Fiscal thinks for a second. So right now, I've told Fiscal that my entire purchase will be charged to 02090. Of course, that's not going to be the case. Most of it will be, but there will be these three items where I will change the coding just for them in the line section. And I can use multi-speed charts to find the coding. So I paused while I entered all of my line items for my example purchase. Right now, because of what I entered in the PO defaults box, everything is coded to 02090, but I need to change that for my first 3 line items. My first 2, I will change to 0900. The third one, I will split code. So I'll go to my first line item here, click the schedule icon. I'll have to change the tax at some point as well, but I'm just showing you the split coding right now. I go in here and I see, yes indeed, it's to 02090, but I want this first item to be 0900. So I click the lookup and pick 0900. Fiscal has changed it for me. Unfortunately, it deleted some of this stuff. I'll have to put it back in. My account number, I'll put that back in. Click in the alt account box and Fiscal will fill that in for you. PC business unit, because it's an incident, I have to enter this. Project, again, click on this. As I showed you in the first method, you have to pick your incident number from the list. Fiscal may take a while to think about this. Okay, it popped up. I think again, I will go take CZU's Bear Fire, even though it was before Fiscal. Enter 01 for the activity. You'll also have to enter the reporting structure. Now in this case, I'm at CZU. This was CZU's fire. I enter CZU's reporting structure. If this were a different fire, if it were LNU's fire or MMU's fire or anybody else's fire, I need to enter their reporting structure. Also keep in mind that the coding from your first line determines where your purchase order will be sent for approval. So in this case, it's fine for me to do 0900 first because it's going to CZU, 1701. It's CZU's fire. But if it's somebody else's fire, and this is your first line of coding, it's not going to go to your BCs and DCs and whoever you have in your unit for approval. It's going to go to the people that live at this reporting structure. So maybe if you're coding 100% of this to LNU's fire, sure, put in LNU's reporting structure. It's going to go to LNU BCs and DCs and LNU unit finance to get approved. But if you don't want that, if only a small portion is going to LNU's fire and most of it is going to CZU under 02090 or one of CZU's fires, you'll want to make sure that your first line of coding has CZU as the reporting structure, either CZU's 02090 or CZU's incident, so that it can go to CZU's people. That's it. Click OK. You just overrode your override box. So now this line is coded to 0900. You'll do the same For the second line, at least in my example, the second line for seafood, I'm also coding to 0900. The third line, however, is the one I'll have to split code, because part of it is going to 0900 and part of it is going to 02090. I'll show you how to do it. Go into the chart fields just as before. You see that it is coded to 02090 because that's what's in the PO defaults box, and I haven't touched this yet. We want to keep that, but we're going to need to add a second line. First thing you do, go to Distribute by Amount. Switch from quantity to amount in this dropdown. That's going to allow you to put in a dollar amount instead of having to do percentages. For some reason you can't do this, at least at this time, in the PO defaults box. You can only change it to amount in the line items. Click a plus to get a second line. It says 02090 now, but we're going to switch it. Click the multi-speed charts link. Click the plus again. Now you have two lines. First line, click the magnifying glass. Fiscal thinks. You can pick 02090. You can do this in any order. Say yes, that's the one you want. Go to the second line, click the magnifying glass. 0900. Fiscal thinks. Now put in the $2 amounts that you want. I did my math. 0900 gets $25.89 of this line item. Fiscal will do the math for you. Up here under remaining amount, you've got to account for that much money. $58.68 should match the math I did here. $58.68. But if you have more than two things you're split coding to, you'll still have to do some math on your own because it only tells you the remaining amount. Then you click OK. Fiscal creates percentages for you. There's your dollar amounts. Unfortunately, you've lost the account code again and the reporting structure. And it won't put in the fiscal year for your incident. So again, I'll put in the account codes. So I put it in once and I'll cut and paste it down into the next Fiscal. Thank you, Fiscal. Fiscal fills it in for you. And again, you'll have to come over here, put in your reporting structure. If again, I'm charging this to CZU's verifier, I can use CZU's reporting structure. PC business unit, have to put 3540. And again, click the magnifying glass to look up my incident. This seems to take Fiscal a while. Here we go. I go find the verifier again for CZU, even though it was pre-Fiscal. It's the only one in here. And again, in activity, put 01. And that's it. That's the only line you have to split code. Click OK. So with the first two lines coded to 0900 that I have to go into and do manually, and the third line split coded, the rest are all defaulted to what I put in PO defaults box, which is 02090, and I'm done. I can save and send for approval. So that's the two ideas I have for how to split code Subsistence, and you can choose the method you like more. As you start split coding to multiple incidents, this will get more complex. So take your time, check your math, and ask for help when you need it.